Let's go over again to Parliament for the live transmission of the approval of yesterday's mid-year budget review.
Promote.
We will be ending the year with a deficit close to 20 billion Ghana cedis, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, hold on. Yes, Honourable Deputy Minister.
Mr. Speaker, please, point of correction. The 750 million he alluded to about from the minerals securitization is equity, is not debt, so it does not contribute to the total debt. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, equity to finance the budget physical flows are equity. Equity to finance what? Is Ghana now a business? It's for an expenditure. It is equivalent to selling your assets in order to finance the budget in terms of your own diversity process. And so if you do not know, that is deficit financing. Mr. Speaker, our deficit is heading towards 20 billion Ghana cedis. And we are here showing only about 14 billion. Mr. Speaker, it is even more worrying. It is even more worrying when you look at where the monies are going. The minister is telling everybody that the reason why we are where we are is because of some take or pay IPPs. Mr. Speaker, I beg to differ. Mr. Speaker, I have in my hands the presentation of the Minister of Finance for the mid-year budget to Cabinet. And if he disputes it, I will table it at the table office. But Mr. Speaker, in that document, the Minister gives us the summary of unbudgeted expenditure requests accommodated in revised 2019 fiscal framework. In other words, he is substituting these expenditures for expenditures that were originally approved by this House, and I'm quoting the numbers for you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minister says...
Hold on. Yes, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member just alluded that he has some voodoo documents there.
Member, you don't know what, so you can't call it voodoo. He has said he has a presentation to Cabinet.
I want to describe it as...
Honourable Leader, address me. I'm waiting.
So, Mr. Speaker, he should table it. He should table it. I think it's a voodoo.
Kindly table it, and then you can refer to it. Let the clerks.
We need to verify first, and then he tables it.
Thank you very much. Yes, you may continue.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the protection. Mr. Speaker, in that document, Mr. Speaker, the minister in his presentation to Cabinet identifies the unbudgeted expenditures that he has already incurred, for which reason he needs a review. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I will list what the minister presented. The minister says new expenditure pressures 15 billion Ghana cedis. The minister says additional requests approved by Cabinet 5.6 billion. The minister says additional requests from Defense 747 million. The minister says additional requests from Interior 765 million. The minister says additional requests General Government Service. I don't know what that is. He says 779 million.
You extra minute because of the. No, there are five. The leader is on his feet. Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, he is quoting figures, and is he quoting those figures from the document he has tendered?
If so, yes, he is. What is your problem with that?
Mr. Speaker, my problem is you need to take a decision on those documents before he begins to
Honourable members, he has presented and placed it, it means that it is in evidence in the House. If any member wants to refer to it, it will be made available to you. That is why. Yes, Honorable Minister for Planning.
Mr. Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Hold on, I want to clear this procedural matters before. I'll stop your clock running, so.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
On point of relevance, what we are debating here is this document. We are not debating any issue that was sent to Cabinet. Cabinet, understand this thing, Cabinet, a document that comes to Cabinet will be verified and authenticated by him as if that it went to Cabinet. And if it really goes to Cabinet, it doesn't mean that what went to Cabinet is what is here. So you cannot be using that for this debate. Use this document for the debate. Because everything that goes to Cabinet will have to be looked at by Cabinet, and Cabinet takes a decision, and this is what is here. So that's not what we are debating. We are debating this one. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't think he can be, for purposes of relevance, he can actually quote any figures from the Cabinet document. This is not the same as what we are debating. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I'm still waiting for somebody to point to any reason in our rules that he can't refer to a document that's laid before the House. If you are challenging the authenticity, I'll deal with that. Otherwise, he's entitled to refer to form his opinion. You are entitled to respond to his interpretation. Please. Otherwise, the debate is continuing. Yes, Minister for...
Mr. Speaker, I rise on Order 7.
Please.
I rise on Order 7.
I haven't given you the floor. Yes. Wait,
Mr. Speaker.
You are not raising an objection, are you? I haven't given you the floor. I'll listen to you and come to you.
Mr. Speaker, I'm challenging the authenticity of the document produced by the honourable member. In these days of digital records being produced from dubious custody, the member has produced a document which he claims emanates from Cabinet. Until this House has ascertained that the document was actually presented to Cabinet, the member cannot stand here and produce any document which he claims was presented to Cabinet and used as a basis to make any arguments. I'm challenging the authenticity of the document and putting him to strict proof of it.
Yes, Honourable Available Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm dismayed. The number of interruptions which are not in sync even with our standing orders. We allow the debate from the other side to flow smoothly without interruptions. But people, my colleagues here, are making very valid points, and we see members on the other side rising on their feet to interrupt without even reference to the standing orders.
And if you have any contribution to be made to the procedural issue, make it. Otherwise, I'll deal with the procedural matters before we continue with the debate. Right.
Mr. Speaker, I will crave your indulgence to ask Honourable Eslausu to withdraw the use of dubious. I think we find it unpalatable, unpleasant, and unnecessary. We crave your indulgence to compel her to withdraw so that the debate can flow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Doctor, you can't switch on your when you have not been given the floor. That is an attempt to hijack the floor. Now let me listen to him. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a House of Records. And that is why every publication that is admitted is seen as an official publication. An official publication is here defined in our orders, Order 7. And with your permission, I read. Official publication means any publication produced by or under the authority or with the sanction of any ministry, department, organization, agency, association, society, or club. Mr. Speaker, the document that our colleague is holding is neither an official publication or any document that has been approved by yourself, your good self. And that is why this cannot be accepted as an official publication by the House. Thank you.
I don't know, but you have not seen it. So it's good you draw our attention to the rule. But please don't draw a conclusion that it is not, because you are not in a position to verify. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the laws of this country, even in the law courts, it's very clear that authenticity precedes admissibility. Before you admit a document, its authenticity should be ascertained. Here is a colleague, a non-member of the cabinet of Akufo-Addo, saying that he has the benefit of a document emanating from that cabinet. With the greatest respect, without this honorable house, this honorable house seeking to authenticate this document through the secretary of the cabinet, it is ill time for admissibility, and therefore it cannot be used in this house. Because what it means is that even correspondence that should not even go out and under confidentiality somebody can just be using it anyhow. So, right now, Mr. Speaker, I want you to rule that this document has no evidential value unless there is authenticity. And without authenticity, you can't comment on it. I invite you to so rule.
Honorable members, I thought I'd rule the issue of challenging authenticity. Then the Minister for Communication rose to challenge the authenticity. Who can authenticate it? I was not inviting you to assist me in the ruling. I was raising the question to answer myself. And the question I'm raising is that the author can authenticate it. The recipient can authenticate it. The author is in the house. I'll have the document given to him. If he authenticates it, if he confirms that this is a document emanating from his ministry, then it is properly before the house and I'll allow it to. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once a document actually leaves a ministry and it gets to cabinet, the only one who can authenticate that document is the secretary to the cabinet, and not the minister. No. And it's not the minister. It is the cabinet secretary who can do that. So, no. He can authenticate this. He has to pronounce that. But he cannot authenticate that document because it started from cabinet. It's the cabinet secretary.
Order! The Honorable Minister is on his feet. Everybody else must resume his seat, please.
No. See, what you said.
Yes, Honorable, I'm listening to you.
Mr. Speaker, if we want any authentication, it has to come from the secretary to the cabinet. And therefore, if Parliament wants that, or if anybody wants it, maybe they will have to write to the secretary to the cabinet for that authentication, and not the minister who submitted it, because it is the property of cabinet and not the property of the minister when the thing gets into cabinet. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I ruled that everybody must resume his seat. In this chamber, you don't attract my attention by shouting. Please resume your seat. Please resume your seat. I am trying to understand the basis of the Honourable Minister for Economic Planning's contribution. I don't know whether I've already ruled. So I don't know what he's saying, whether you're challenging the ruling or drawing my attention to an error I've made, or I want to be guided.
Mr. Speaker, if you've made a ruling, I'm not challenging your ruling. But I didn't hear you rule that that was the Minister for Finance is the one who has to determine it. But what I was saying was just saying that, as soon as a document leaves a minister's office, and it gets into cabinet, whatever comes out of there is actually can only be authenticated by the cabinet secretary. That was what I was saying. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I never heard that you had already ruled that the minister should authenticate it. In any case, if he has to authenticate it,
it cannot be that. As I said, his claim was that was a cabinet.
Speaker, I didn't know that you had ruled.
Let me repeat for our own. The Honourable Member's argument was that he has in his hands a document the Minister of Finance has prepared and presented to Cabinet. And then he was making reference to that, said he should table it. Now, other members challenged his right to make reference to that. And I ruled that first, unless anybody challenges the authenticity of that document, is entitled to refer to it. Then the Honourable Minister for Communication challenges that it's not authentic. I ruled the author is in the House. If the author looks at it, if the document, order. If the author of the document says this is not my document, that ends the matter. If he looks at it and he says, yes, it's a document, it is information he sent to Cabinet. If that is it, nobody is saying it is information coming from Cabinet, for which reason it must be authenticated. It's information he is prepared for Cabinet. And the man and his team are here. If they look at it, this is not what we prepared for Cabinet, that would be the end of the matter. And that is my ruling. Yes, Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have not been in the House for a while. I've just listened to what you have said. And as I entered, the House appeared to be in a bit of turmoil relating to a document that our colleague, the member for Boku Boga Central, is tendering. My own reaction is, it's not even about the authenticity or otherwise. It's about the relevance of the document. It's about the relevance of the document. If it's a cabinet memo, what is the locus of a cabinet memo in this House? Mr. Speaker, if it is a document of whatever description, now the executive authority of this country is vested in the President. If a step has been taken emanating from the executive, which is a faulty step, the member could allude to that. The executive authority, the Speaker, by Article 58, is vested in the President. The Speaker, has ruled on the authenticity of the document. I'm going on a different leg. The relevance of the document. Are you hearing me? That's the point I'm making. So, Mr. Speaker, what should engage our attention is the relevance of whatever document that he intends to brandish in this House. What's the relevance of it? Mr. Speaker, the relevance of the document, because as I've said, the document should really relate to the presidency, on whose behalf the minister will be acting. That's the point I'm making. If indeed it emanates from the presidency, or the president has caused such a thing to be done, that is a different thing. And that's why I'm relating to the relevance of that document. I don't know. As I said, I just met you in that discourse. So that's the point that I want to be the point of reference. Speaker, because if it is not, if it cannot be demonstrably indicated to us that this is connected to the presidency, then one could refer the person doing that, engaged in that act, to Order 30, to Order 30D. That is why I'm asking of the relevance of that document. If we could settle it, I guess, just to allow for the smooth conduct of business, then we can go further.
Honourable Leader, we are referring to which one? Order 32.
I refer to Order 30D. And people want to go to 30 days about what petition. Can you read? It said 30D.
Sorry, I heard 2. That's why I referred. I verified from you.
30D. 30D.
We don't have disagreement on it. No, I don't think it will be accepted as a...
With respect to relevance, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the paragraph 84 of the minister's document, the minister is quite clear that there was faster execution of expenditure and that the shortfall in revenue is mainly accounted for by shortfalls of custom duties and explains that whilst the faster execution of expenditure is mainly due to unprogrammed expenses, and I'm referring to a document the minister has prepared which lists the unprogrammed expenses in my view. And that is what I was referring to, in order to justify that this argument goes beyond take or pay IPP contract, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the summary of unbudgeted expenditure requests accommodated in the revised 2019 fiscal framework, as listed in this document, are as follows, Mr. Speaker. It says shortfall, 2019 budget shortfalls, about 1.9 billion. New expenditure pressures, about 15 billion Ghana cedis. Additional requests approved by Cabinet, 5.6 billion Ghana cedis. Additional requests from Defense, 747 million Ghana cedis. Additional requests from Interior, 765 million Ghana cedis. Additional requests, into bracket, General Government Services. I don't know what that is, but it is 779 million Ghana cedis. Additional requests, others, 238 million Ghana cedis. Contingency, 200 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, a total of 25.4 billion unbudgeted expenditure was incurred in 5 months. In 5 months, Mr. Speaker, that amounts to 7.4% of GDP as reported here. And Mr. Speaker, it is indicated that this alone is about 34% of the entire budget that was brought to this House. Mr. Speaker, how can you look us in the face and tell us this is about IPP and this is about take or pay? Mr. Speaker, this level of recklessness cannot continue, and the minister is quite clear that if this does not stop, the Fiscal Responsibility Act will hang him, because this is unprecedented in our history and the expenditure is already incurred. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the minister informed this House that the banking sector is doing very well. And Mr. Speaker, he makes very interesting allusions. He says that the banking sector is now sound, is liquid, and well capitalized. Mr. Speaker, when you recapitalize a bank and the bank is very well capitalized, we measure that by your capital adequacy. Mr. Speaker, as at the end of the recapitalization, the banking sector's capital adequacy was about 19.3%. By January, this had increased to 21.8% as reported by the Bank of Ghana. If the banking sector is strong, it is making profit, you expect capital adequacy to improve. It has suddenly now declined from 21.8% from January this year to about 19.1% in June. Can we now tell what it will end at the end of the year? We will not have capital adequacy at the end of the year. And you say this is a well-capitalized bank. Clearly, I was told here by one of our colleagues that deposits have increased. Mr. Speaker, the deposit numbers that they are showing includes the bond of 1.5 billion that was issued in March to cover Heritage Bank and Premium Bank. They are not new deposits. If you take that out, you get a deposit that's around 6 billion. And you are saying that 23 banks generating deposits that is almost about 1 billion is what we are proud of. Mr. Speaker, that is an amount of money that only one transaction will consume, and the banking sector cannot lend to anybody anymore. And Mr. Speaker, we cannot be celebrating this mediocrity. Mr. Speaker, total advances from January to date have only grown by 2.7 billion Ghana cedis per Bank of Ghana's own monetary, summary economic and financial data. 2.7 billion, that is almost about 200 million or thereabout. Mr. Speaker, 2.7 billion is a transaction that one bank should do. And this is what the entire credit given to the entire business sector. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana's own confidence index is shocking. The Bank of Ghana is indicating that the consumer confidence has declined from about 102 to only 96 by now. Business confidence has shattered by the Bank of Ghana's own record. From 101, it is now around 94. Mr. Speaker, things fall apart. And you cannot be speaking positivity into what is seriously a negative environment. And Mr. Speaker, banks are actually re-rationalizing their employers, their employees, they are laying workers off, and as we speak today, Securities and Exchange Commission came out to give an announcement that basically pronounces a death sentence for agencies that are regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It comes out to say that we are doing a forensic audit on 21 security SEC-regulated agencies. Who are those 21? So if I don't know, everybody qualifies for that 21. So automatically, people will run on these innocent ones that are well managed because you have caused it. Mr. Speaker, rural banks recently suffered a hemorrhage because of pronouncement by the Bank of Ghana, which led to some of the rural banks losing as much as 100 million Ghana cedis in just 1 week. Mr. Speaker, the banking sector and the financial sector is in race. And the earlier the Minister of Finance and the Bank of Ghana woke up to this reality and did something about it, the better. Mr. Speaker, only recently at the Monetary Policy Committee's meeting, the governor said he is not in a hurry to collapse savings and loans companies. Really? Reforms is about collapsing? All you know about reforms is about collapsing? I thought you would have said, I am not in a hurry to come and do the reforms, but not that I'm not in a hurry to collapse savings and loans companies. So that is all about it. It is about collapsing, and no plan B. That is why I keep telling you that the NDC government will never have collapsed these banks. And you must be answering why we are spending all 12 billion just to collapse banks and financial institutions. Mr. Speaker, our external sector is now weaker than before.
You have 1 minute more.
Mr. Speaker, between December 2018 up to February 2019, only 2 months, we have drawn down our net international reserve by 700 million. Mr. Speaker, when we now went and borrowed the 3 billion euro bonds, our reserve went up to 6.8 billion. Today, Mr. Speaker, it is now 5.1. Cumulatively, in the last 3 months, we have drawn down 1.7 billion of our reserves. Mr. Speaker, cumulatively, only 6 months, 2.4 billion of our reserves is gone.